The mixing board made a sickening crack as the sledgehammer connected with its surface, sending fragments of circuitry and metal across my studio floor. My hands trembled as I stood frozen in the doorway, watching my brother Parker raise the hammer for another swing. In the corner, my sister Rachel held her phone up, filming everything. "This is what happens when you're selfish and won't share your success with family," she announced to her camera, her voice theatrical for her audience. Parker turned, his face flushed with exertion, sweat dripping down his temples. When he saw me, his eyes narrowed and his grip tightened on the sledgehammer. "Maybe now you'll learn to help us out." The $15,000 mixing board that had produced Grammy-nominated tracks lay shattered beneath him. What they didn't realize was that every contact in my phone could end their careers with one call. My name is Willa. I'm 34, and I'm a professional music producer. This is the story of how I taught my family that success isn't something you can take by force. For the past 15 years, I'd built myself from nothing into one of the most respected music producers in the industry, starting in a basement with secondhand equipment, working 80-hour weeks, learning every aspect of sound engineering. My home studio wasn't just some hobby space. It was a $120,000 professional facility where I'd produced chart-topping albums for Grammy-winning artists. I worked with major record labels. My client list read like a Billboard Top 40. I'd earned every piece of equipment, every industry connection, every ounce of respect through pure hard work and talent. But to my family, I was just playing with computers and calling it music. They saw my success as something that happened to me, not something I built. And somehow, they decided that since we shared DNA, my achievements should automatically become their opportunities. I'd become the family ATM, expected to fund everyone's lifestyle while receiving zero acknowledgement for the work behind my success. They dismissed what I did as sound stuff, while simultaneously demanding I use my connections to make them rich and famous. The studio doorframe pressed against my back as I tried to process the destruction in front of me. I'd been driving home from the best recording session of my career. I was finishing tracks for an artist guaranteed Grammy nominations. Then I pulled into my driveway and heard crashing sounds from my garage studio. "Finally home from your little hobby?" Parker called out without looking up, his voice dripping with contempt. "We need to have a family meeting about sharing the wealth." That's when I noticed Rachel in the corner, phone held high, live streaming the destruction to her followers. "You've been hoarding opportunities while we struggle," she said directly to her camera. "Time to give back to the people who supported you." I lunged forward to stop him from destroying more equipment, but Parker stepped toward me aggressively. "Don't even think about it." Rachel kept filming, narrating like some twisted sports commentator. "Look how selfish she is, protecting her toys instead of helping family." Parker started listing his problems like I owed him solutions. His construction business had failed. He had unpaid loans. He needed me to invest in his comeback. Rachel jumped in, demanding I use my industry connections to make her an influencer. She deserved fame, she claimed. "You think you're better than us because you play with computers and call it music?" Rachel sneered, still recording. My throat tightened as I watched years of work being demolished. "We raised you, supported your dreams," Parker added, though we were siblings, not parent and child. Now it's payback time. When I pulled out my phone to call the police, Parker shoved me hard. I crashed into my damaged equipment, pain shooting through my ribs. Rachel actually laughed while filming. "This is going viral," entitled "Sister Refuses to Help Struggling Family." Parker raised the sledgehammer again, hovering it over my main computer system. "Here's the deal. $50,000 cash, plus you get Rachel meetings with record labels, or I keep swinging until there's nothing left." I stared at them both, the metallic taste of adrenaline filling my mouth as I realized my own siblings had just declared war on everything I'd built. After a sleepless night at a nearby hotel, I returned to my house the next morning, my hands still shaking with rage. I discovered this wasn't some impulsive outburst. They'd been planning this assault for weeks. Rachel showed me a detailed spreadsheet listing my equipment values and researching my industry contacts. They'd done their homework, treating my career like an ATM they could crack open. Parker presented me with typed demands like some kind of business proposal, $50,000 immediate payment, guaranteed meetings with record label executives for Rachel's music career, plus hiring his construction crew for a studio expansion I'd never planned. "I've already told my guys you're bringing them on for a big project," Parker said with a smug grin. "Don't make me look like a liar." But things got worse when Rachel posted her edited footage online. She'd cut together clips to make me look like a heartless sister who'd abandoned her struggling family. Her followers ate it up. "Family greed at its worst," read one comment. "Imagine being too selfish to help your own siblings." Within hours, Rachel's army of followers had found my professional social media accounts. They flooded my business pages with accusations about my character, calling me greedy and heartless. Potential clients started questioning whether they wanted to work with someone who treats family badly. Parker escalated by bringing his construction crew to my house. 5 men in hard hats showed up at my door, claiming I'd promised them work contracts. "Willa owes us jobs," one of them said. "Parker told us she's got big projects coming up." My stomach dropped as I realized Parker had been using my name to make promises I'd never agreed to. These men expected payment for work that didn't exist. The final blow came when I returned home one evening to find they'd changed my locks. "Family intervention," Rachel announced through the door. "Until you start sharing properly, we're protecting you from making more selfish decisions." They were holding my own house hostage. Parker continued destroying equipment daily, claiming it was motivation for my compliance. Rachel live-streamed each session, building her follower count on my trauma. The comments cheered her on. Make her pay for being selfish. Family comes first, always. She deserves this for hoarding success. But beneath my outward panic, a cold resolve was forming. I wasn't just sitting there taking it. I started documenting everything, every threat, every piece of destroyed equipment, every fraudulent claim they made using my name. I recorded conversations on my phone and took photos of the damage. That's when I reached out to my cousin Thomas, the black sheep of our extended family who'd been cut off years ago for refusing to enable everyone else's dysfunction. He understood exactly what I was dealing with. "They did the same thing to me," Thomas said when I showed him the evidence. "Demanded money, destroyed my property when I refused, turned the family against me." With nowhere else to go, I drove to Thomas's apartment across town. After hearing my situation, he offered his spare bedroom without hesitation. The next day, while Parker and Rachel were attending a family lunch I'd been uninvited from, Thomas helped me slip in through the basement window I'd left unlocked. We safely retrieved my backup drives and most important files. We discovered they'd been using my name to scam potential clients, promising recording services I'd never agreed to provide. "You need to fight back," Thomas said, his voice firm. "These people only understand consequences." I was starting to realize he was right. I spent those nights at Thomas's apartment. I was supposedly licking my wounds and figuring out how to meet Parker and Rachel's demands. But I wasn't planning surrender. I was building a war chest. While they thought I was broken and desperate, I was systematically documenting every piece of evidence. Screenshots of Rachel's harassment posts, photos of destroyed equipment with timestamps, audio recordings of Parker's threats and demands. What they didn't know was that I had direct phone numbers for executives at every major record label and streaming platform in the country. 15 years in this industry hadn't just given me technical skills. I'd built relationships with people who could make or break careers with a single phone call. Grammy-winning artists trusted my judgment completely. Label presidents valued my recommendations. Platform executives knew I only vouched for trustworthy people. My client list wasn't just musicians. I'd worked with journalists who covered industry scandals, lawyers who specialized in entertainment fraud, even executives at construction licensing boards who regulated Parker's industry. The assault and destruction had been captured perfectly by my hidden studio security cameras. Parker shoving me, Rachel laughing while filming my pain, both of them threatening my livelihood. It was all recorded in high definition, with cloud backup I could access remotely from Thomas's apartment. My security system had been worth every penny of its premium subscription. My phone contacts read like a who's who of people with the power to destroy careers and reputations. People who trusted me enough to act on my word alone. Thomas helped me organize everything into a comprehensive evidence portfolio, while I maintained the appearance of defeat around my siblings. They thought they were extorting a pushover who'd built her success through luck. They had no idea they'd just declared war on someone with the power to end careers. Sometimes the quietest people have the loudest connections. Thomas became my strategic planning partner, helping me coordinate evidence collection while my siblings celebrated their apparent victory. Through his work at the county records office, he had discovered years of Parker's fraudulent business filings and Rachel's fraudulent loan applications. He knew family secrets that could expose years of their manipulative behavior patterns. "They've done this before," Thomas explained as we compiled evidence. "Remember when they pressured Uncle Robert into co-signing Parker's business loan? Or when Rachel convinced Grandma to pay for her modeling portfolio that never existed?" Meanwhile, Parker and Rachel grew increasingly arrogant. Their demands expanded beyond money and connections. Now they wanted me to buy them houses, cars, and fund Rachel's entire lifestyle as a full-time influencer. Parker started advertising construction services online using photos of my destroyed studio, claiming he'd renovated recording spaces for industry professionals. Potential clients were calling him based on work he'd never done. Rachel quit her retail job completely, expecting my music industry connections to make her famous immediately. She was already planning her acceptance speech for awards she'd never win for talents she didn't possess. "You can do this the easy way or the hard way," Parker threatened during one of his daily visits to intimidate me, "but you're going to pay what you owe us." Rachel created fake social media posts showing her collaborating with major artists, using photos from my actual studio sessions. She was building her entire online presence on lies about my career. They scheduled a family intervention for the following weekend, inviting aunts, uncles, and cousins to witness my public surrender. They planned to shame me into complete compliance in front of everyone who mattered to us. "Once the whole family sees how selfish you've been," Rachel said smugly, "you'll have to choose between paying up or being cut off from everyone forever." Thomas helped me prepare while maintaining my defeated appearance. We organized surveillance footage, documented financial fraud, and compiled testimonials from industry professionals who'd witnessed their harassment. "They think they're about to win everything," Thomas said as we reviewed our evidence portfolio. "They have no idea what's coming." The intervention was exactly what I needed, a room full of witnesses for their complete destruction. Have you ever reached the point where you realize someone had pushed you too far to ever forgive? That Saturday afternoon, I drove to my parents' suburban home, Thomas following in his car to provide support. The family intervention was held in my parents' living room, packed with aunts, uncles, and cousins who'd been fed Parker and Rachel's version of events. I walked in carrying what appeared to be signed contracts and bank transfer paperwork, looking defeated and ready to surrender. "Thank God she's finally being reasonable," my mother whispered to my aunt. Parker stood up like some kind of family patriarch. "Willa has agreed to meet our very fair demands. She's going to help family the way family should help each other." Rachel was already live streaming, announcing to her followers that her selfish sister was about to make things right. That's when I set down my papers and smiled. "You want to know about family loyalty?" I said, pulling out my laptop. "Let me show you what real consequences look like." I clicked play on the security footage from my studio. The room fell silent as they watched Parker destroying my equipment with a sledgehammer while Rachel filmed and laughed. The audio captured every threat, every demand, every moment of violence. "You can't prove anything," Parker stammered, the blood draining from his face. "This is family business." "Actually, I can prove everything," I replied calmly, "and I already have." I opened my phone and showed them the confirmation emails. "Parker, your construction license is under investigation for fraudulent advertising using my credentials. The licensing board received a detailed report yesterday with all the evidence they need to expedite their review process. My lawyer assures me they'll reach a decision within a month, given the severity of the fraud." Parker's face went white. "Rachel, your social media accounts are being reviewed for coordinated harassment and fraud. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube have all received comprehensive evidence packages about your harassment campaigns and fake collaboration posts." Rachel stopped live streaming immediately, panic spreading across her face. The extended family was staring at the security footage, realizing they'd been manipulated by complete lies about my selfishness. "But that's not all," I continued, opening another folder on my laptop. "Thomas, would you like to share what you know about their financial history?" Thomas stood up with his own evidence portfolio. "Parker has defrauded 3 previous business partners. Rachel has run scams on dating apps and crowdfunding sites. They've been exploiting family members for years." The Construction Licensing Board was very interested in Parker's pattern of fraudulent business practices, I announced, and social media platforms take harassment and impersonation very seriously. Parker tried to interrupt. "This is ridiculous. We're family." "You destroyed my studio thinking I was helpless." I cut him off, my voice steady. "Now watch me destroy everything you built on lies." Rachel was frantically trying to delete her social media posts, but screenshots of everything were already submitted to platform review teams. "The best part?" I smiled. "Every industry contact I have now knows exactly who you both are." Within 2 weeks, Parker's construction license was permanently revoked for fraudulent business practices. The licensing board found a pattern of using false credentials and misrepresenting client relationships that went back years. 3 months later, after a thorough investigation by the district attorney's office, Parker was charged with multiple counts of fraud and ordered to pay restitution to his victims. Rachel received permanent bans from Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook for coordinated harassment and impersonation. Her influencer dreams died overnight when she lost access to every major platform. The police filed her case as criminal harassment, but ultimately she avoided charges by agreeing to a restraining order that prohibited any contact with me. My industry connections ensured both siblings were blacklisted from any music or entertainment opportunities. Word spreads fast in tight-knit industries, and everyone now knew exactly what kind of people they were dealing with. The extended family apologized profusely once they understood how deeply they'd been manipulated. They each called me personally in the weeks following the intervention, offering support and expressing shame at how they'd been deceived. My parents were mortified by what they'd witnessed on the security footage. After several painful but necessary conversations, we established a new, more respectful relationship built on clear boundaries and regular family therapy sessions. Thomas helped me rebuild my studio in a new location, far from toxic family access. I purchased a secure building with enhanced security systems and limited access. My career flourished as industry professionals respected how I'd handled the situation professionally and decisively. Parker and Rachel faced complete financial ruin as their scam-based income sources disappeared permanently. Their reputations were destroyed in their respective fields. 6 months after the intervention, Parker moved to another state to start over, and Rachel took a job at a call center, forced to rebuild her life without social media fame. I established strict boundaries: 0 contact with my siblings, limited supervised contact with other family members who'd enabled their behavior. Some people mistake kindness for weakness until they discover that quiet people often have the loudest connections. Sometimes the best way to handle bullies is to let their own actions destroy them.